back to I Remember That podcast. Today we're going to talk about the movies that made our Christmas magic. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie? Were there movies that you hated? Today we're going to dive in and talk about that special time of year where we unwrap presents and we get to see family and we get to watch a lot of movies. As always, I've got Ian here with me. Ian, say hey.
Hey.
That was a quick one. Now you didn't give it time to simmer, but I like that.
It's a new program.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. So, Christmas movies. Do you have a favorite one that we should just talk about right off the bat?
Well, actually, before even getting into favorite ones, what I wanted to do was I wanted to ask you how you define Christmas movies, because there seems to be a little bit of a, you know what I mean, like a discrepancy between certain people, what defines a Christmas movie, because some people will say their favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard, right?
Yes. I'm one of those people that thinks it is a Christmas movie.
Okay.
I honestly don't watch it every Christmas, but I have before, and I do enjoy it. I love Bruce Willis. I thought you were going to say there's a difference between like full-length feature Christmas movies and then like the Hallmark movies that are dime a dozen. They're all shot in Franklin, Tennessee for some reason. I don't watch the Hallmark ones, but I always find myself at someone's house with them on, and then next thing you know, I'm watching it. So
Right.
I guess I can't really hate on them. But yeah, I like Die Hard. It's snowy, so it's Christmassy. Do you consider that a Christmas movie?
Um, so I don't personally, and I guess I'm not like super gatekeepy about it. I act like I'm gatekeepy about it to my wife who says it, but just to annoy her.
That's funny. Well, she
but
didn't like Pauly Shore, so it's even, I guess.
Right. But it's, to me, when people bring up movies like that, because another one that maybe people don't talk about it like they talk about Die Hard so much, but you'll see it on, you remember 25 Days of Christmas on like ABC Family?
Yeah.
They would feature Harry Potter in there, and that always threw me off. And that was mostly because there is a decent chunk in the middle of the movie where it is Christmas and they're opening presents. And,
That's true.
To me,
Are you talking about the whole series or just the first one?
I think it's just the first one.
Yeah.
And they'll show even in the preview, like of the ABC Family 25 Days of Christmas preview, they'll show Hedwig flying through the snow and there's a big Christmas tree. And there's something off about that, because like that movie itself is not, I wouldn't consider it a Christmas movie. It just has a Christmas element. And I mean, whatever, if people want to watch Die Hard or Harry Potter on Christmas, be my guest. If it's set on Christmas, whatever. But me personally, like if I was to put something on, Die Hard and Harry Potter would not be on my list, because to me, there has to be a joyful Christmas spirit element that those movies don't really have, I don't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good way to look at it. I'm trying to think of another movie that's kind of like that. Like the Star Wars Christmas special, which is apparently really hard to find. I think it's on YouTube though, or maybe not. So yeah, like kind of cash grabby. Hey, this is Christmas. Maybe not.
Right.
The other, like last year, maybe the year before, I finally rationalized that my favorite Christmas movie is Jingle All the Way, because it's
Really?
like not anyone's really favorite, but it's just so funny to me. And the older I get, the more I feel like the struggle he has. Like he's like, I mean, I don't have kids, but like you're trying to you work so hard you kind of forget who's important, and then you're like, oh, it's Christmas, I gotta really pull out the stops, and like he does all this zany stuff to like make his kid happy, and it ends up working out in the end. I love it. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's a perfect role for him. And then to like the cherry on top of that movie is, and Phil Hartman's in it, and
Oh yeah.
that guy is amazing. Anything he touches was gold.
I like Jingle All the Way when I was a kid. I haven't seen it since, I don't know, probably 2000. I mean, it's been a long time, but I did enjoy it. And I think, honestly, my favorite part of it, I think, was Sinbad.
Yeah. Yeah, he represents like the working man, and I love that because you could kind of argue and say Arnold Schwarzenegger is like kind of privileged, and then
Hmm.
he shows up, and it's like it shows like every type of person is trying to get this doll to do something good for their kid, and like the scene where he's like complaining about the job and stuff in public, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's so good. It just shows like the real struggle of trying to find that toy when it's the last day, and
Yeah.
what you'll do to get that toy.
Yeah, I do love the antics and stuff. I think my favorite scene in the movie, I think there's two. My favorite scene, I think, is with Sinbad, is he pretends, up in the building or wherever they're at in the radio station, I think it is, with the
Yeah.
cops, that this is a bomb. And, he's just kidding, just trying to get out of the situation. So he tosses it on the ground and then he runs out. And then the cop opens it up and it explodes.
Yeah.
And he's outside. He goes, sick people. There's some sick people
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, he's like the realist of the movie. Like everything, it's like real. And I also want to like bringing up Phil Hartman. I he had the most punchable face I think
Hmm.
of any character in a long time. Like the way he's like not and notches on his belt, all the single women in his neighborhood, and it's just like, man, I wish he should have gotten punched or something.
Dude, and then Arnold goes and punches the reindeer.
Yeah, yeah. And then they share a beer afterwards. That's so good.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, man.
Dude, now that you say that, the about Phil Hartman's character being punchable and everything, if you put a mustache on him, he is the live action Flanders.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
100%.
I think he was a Simpsons character.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be
Yeah,
shocked.
I
Yeah.
think he did like it was just random roles he would voice.
Hmm. He's got a good voice.
Yeah, exactly. It's iconic. So on Christmas Eve as a kid, did you have like movies that you wanted to watch before you open presents or like say like cuz at me as a kid, I could never go to sleep. Like I'd always either be hype or just I don't know, I just stayed up all night watching TV. So there was like certain movies I would always try to catch, especially The Christmas Story because it's on like 24 hours a day that day. But did you have any?
No, but dude, I will talk about Christmas Story with you. And the thing is, I never saw that movie until I was an adult because my wife, her family is one of those families that has it playing all day long.
Yeah.
Like they'll put it on the channel and it will just play in the background. So it's one of those movies that I never really sat down and just watched either.
Mhm.
That if you were to ask me the story, like beginning to end, I couldn't tell you. I could tell you all the individual segments. There's the cowboy shooting the robbers or whatever it is, and he gets the bad grade on the test, and there's the tongue on the frozen pole, all the different parts, but I've never seen it just straight through. I've just caught bits and pieces of it over and over again.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I know exactly what you mean. And my family does the same thing. We let it play 24 hours. And yeah, up until a few years ago, I had seen the movie. I'd seen every part of it, but never in one sitting. So like I completely understand what you mean, like the iconic parts, but then I've never sat down and like I don't know exactly how it it starts. Like I have no clue. I assume it's like almost after Thanksgiving or something, and then it rolls into Christmas.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a really good movie though, and it's almost like transcends movies. It's almost like it's so important that it's not a movie. It's just a rite of passage almost because everybody's got their, everybody says that, or whether you like it or you hate it, you've probably seen it or seen a picture of it, or the leg lamp or something. So like, yeah, that's a cool one. And now I wanted to know how much they're getting in royalties because they play that thing.
Oh, that's a good
every
question.
year.
Yeah, that movie's, if it's on 24 hours, like how do royalties work like that?
I don't know. I wonder. I
That's
would love to be
interesting.
a part of it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And then, also we've got, which is another movie they should play 24 hours, is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I think that's what it's called, Christmas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like that movie?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It was a more regular one at my dad's house growing up. I think my dad was a little bit less censored in terms of the movies we could watch. There's so many movies we saw at certain ages that we definitely shouldn't have. And that
Right.
was, I feel like at points, in that movie, we shouldn't have watched. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It really wasn't that bad for children, but,
It was the 80s.
yeah. I mean, dude, okay, so it's kind of like this. I don't know what that movie's rated, but do you know what Beetlejuice is rated?
Yeah, PG, and he says the F word.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
It's crazy.
I know.
So the 80s, man, you can get away with so much back then, and now you can only say the F word one time in a PG-13 movie. Any more than that, it's R.
Dang. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm trying to think, is National Lampoon got anything like too racy or over the top?
The first one, the National Lampoon's Vacation, is a little more racy, but then like Christmas Vacation itself it's not that bad. I think the thing that stands out to me is the part where he's like looking at that girl's chest, and he's
Yeah, in the car.
and then like
Does that happen in Christmas Vacation?
Yeah, that's like early on in Christmas Vacation.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
And he says something. Somebody asked him what the weather's like. He said it's real nipply outside.
Yeah, it's classic, man. And then they go get the tree. Is that when they're going to get the tree?
Something, man. It's been so long since I've seen it.
We should have watched the movies before we started this.
Now that's the best part of the nostalgia. Is like, what can we remember?
Yeah, exactly. That's true. And other people will listen and be like, "You idiots!"
Right.
My favorite part of that movie. Well, I won't say my favorite, but the one that made me laugh was when he finally gets those lights working. Like he checks all of them, and we've all been there as homeowners or dads or whatever, and he's frantically getting those lights, and then he finally gets it on, and the electric the meter is just spinning. I think about that all the time when I go outside and I check that stuff. I'm like, that is so funny and probably true. That thing's just going, zzz.
Right.
But he's so excited, and then the neighbors that are always so pissed off at him. I've grown up to become those people. You got a yappy dog in your yard, get it inside. Like if you got your car thumping outside, turn it off and go inside.
Right.
So I've turned into those people on the other side.
I definitely have too, and I don't know if this is because we don't have much disturbance in our neighborhood, but my wife and I are way grumpier than our elderly neighbors.
Yeah.
Like our elderly neighbors, they're outside. We've got some across the street, some next door. They're both couples are very, very nice to us, constantly waving. The ones next door are wanting to talk, and me and my wife are just like just doing anything we can, just like not interested. And we're just so grouchy and grumpy, not directly to them, but enough where I think it's slowed down, or it's because they've realized we don't want to talk.
That must be a millennial thing, because like if someone rings my doorbell, I'm not answering it. I don't care if I know you. Text me. Solicitors used to line up at our door to like get windows and roofs, and it's like, no, I'm not answering the door. I don't care. Like if the cops showed up, they would call me.
Dude, actually, I had the cops show up at my door not too long ago about my elderly neighbors and I was like, oh, hello, officer. And they said, does your mother live here? I was like, what? No. I was like, I don't think a woman weird. Older than my wife's ever even been in my house. And he was like, well, we got a call about this address with apparently this elderly woman is endangered. I'm like, oh my God, like, dude, I have no idea. Like across the street next door, there's some elderly people, and they came in, look around. Not thoroughly, but they popped in, and I was like, does this look like an elderly woman lives here?
That's scary.
It was wild. But yeah, I mean, not to get too far off track, but yeah, it's dude, it's like you're saying, those neighbors, it's the millennials, the younger people are turning into those now.
And it's so funny in that movie, like they're just trying to relax, and they I can't remember everything that happens to them, but I remember the lights. When he finally gets them turned on, they're like, oh, you can relax. And then their whole house lights up. That's classic. But then the grandma and the grandpa, the dynamic there, the blessing, say the blessing. Like I crack up to this day hearing that.
Yeah, well, the one scene, it's honestly on a level of cringe or just like, it just hurts physically to watch when he opens up that his bonus check he thinks he's gonna
Oh
get,
yeah.
and it's not because he's like, I'm gonna get this, we're gonna get a pool.
Yeah.
Oh
And
God.
I did the math, or no, actually Reddit did the math, and I was just reading it. Sorry, I didn't mean to take credit. But to determine what his bonus would be, they added up what a pool would cost in that time, and he's like a marketing guy, I think, and it was like 75 grand or something was supposed to be his bonus. So it's like, yeah, it's not like today where they give you an iTunes gift card that's already half paid. Like
Right.
companies back then actually did stuff like that.
Well, I mean, he didn't get the the bonus, but
Yeah, that was what gave all these CEOs the idea. Was like, hey, they're not going to do anything. So
that's not a
maybe
bad idea.
get out there and kidnap your CEO, and we'll get bonuses back. Yeah, that's got to be rough, man. Because if it's expected, you're only going to get a turkey or a iTunes gift card. Sure, okay. But if you busted your tail, gave this dude, I think there's scenes that show that he's nailing it. Like he's really good at what he's doing,
Hmm.
and then you get a jelly of the month club. Like, yeah, I can imagine he went stone cold Steve Austin, and just snapped.
Oh yeah.
But Uncle Eddie is like the lovable oaf that is gonna fix it. Like this is his one shot to save Christmas because he's like broke and he's like asking him to buy Christmas gifts and stuff. That scene in the grocery store is so funny. He's just slamming dog food in the cart and all this stuff, and he's like, "You got this right." But
I don't even remember that, but that sounds very
yeah,
much like that.
yeah, he's like, times are rough. We coasted in on on fumes. It's like he showed up because he needed to stay.
You know what that reminds me of? It's not exactly Christmas, but it just makes me think of it because the gas and it was really cold out. But when Brant was living with me, we needed to go out of the gas station for something, and it was freezing outside, and he didn't have gas in his car at all. And I remember just going outside, getting in his car, and what was that? What was that he drove? It was like an old BMW or a Mercedes or something.
Oh yeah.
But we used to live on a hill, and so we couldn't start the car, and we were bundled up because we couldn't turn the heater on in the car. So we just rocked back and forth and just rode it down the hill, and just at every chance we could, just the most coasting on fumes I've ever done. But we actually got down there.
Oh, that gas station at the bottom of the hill. Yeah.
Yeah, the one where we bought memorabilia. Yeah, that one.
God bless that gas station. I'll wave every time I see it now. Yeah, that's an Uncle Eddie moment,
Mm-hmm.
and he's an iconic character. The shitter's full thing.
Yeah,
Everybody seems to share that.
have you seen Vegas Vacation?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies. Well,
Mm.
I mean, there's way better movies, but like the Nick Papagiorgio where his son keeps winning, but he's not old enough to cash in. That is hilarious to me when he finally gives up and he goes and he's like, Eddie's like, I got a place. And it's like rock, paper, scissors. And then the buffet where he's like, wait a minute, that's not chicken. And she just switches the signs over. It's so realistic.
Underrated part of that series, which is funny because he's the main character, is Clark, Chevy Chase. He's got some of these little quotes that stick in my head more than just about anything else because they're in Vegas Vacation. He's Wayne Newton's trying to get Ellen to go to the or Helen to go to the thing or whatever, and the guy shows up with a dress and says to their hotel, "Are you? I'm looking for a Mrs. Helen Griswold." He goes, "I'm Mr. Helen Griswold."
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, that's my wife.
Yeah.
Don't forget it."
Yeah, but in Christmas Vacation, it sticks in my head just the way he says it too. Is he's about to race that guy, and he says, "Burn dust, eat my rubber."
Yeah, he's so nervous. He's like saying it goofy.
Yeah, and his son's like, "Dad, I think you said it the way right." He's like, shut up, Rusty.
Yeah, it's so good. And then like European Vacation was, I don't remember it at all, but I remember he's like, you say six as sex, and he's like, my family's looking for sex, and then they close the door on him.
I don't think I've
Iconic
seen
set
that
of.
European one, but
I don't
that
think
sounds
it.
funny.
It probably wasn't that good. I might have caught it on like Comedy Central back in the day or something.
Yeah.
But other Christmas movies, I really like The Grinch, the Jim Carrey one, of course, but the animated. I guess it was drawn during like Bugs Bunny times.
Mm-hmm.
I love it, and luckily I have it on VHS now. But there for a while, that thing was hard to find, like
Really?
on streaming services and stuff. It's probably easier now, but I wanted to watch that so bad, and I ended up. I don't ever buy movies, and I ended up paying for it on like YouTube or something.
We actually did something similar. We had on Apple TV, there's like the iTunes library where you can buy movies, and we never buy movies on there. Like we
Hmm.
rent them sometimes, or we just try to find the right streaming service. But The Grinch is one of like the maybe 10 movies we own because we needed to have it for the kids,
Which one?
The original, like the original
Yeah, the one
animated
I'm
one.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so good, and it's only like 30 minutes, if that.
Hmm.
Which crushed me when I paid for it, but that's fine. Now I got it forever.
But it's great.
It is, and it's the voices and the music, like stink, stank, stonk. Like
Yeah.
all that. It's the art style is really relaxing, and that was ever since a young kid watching it in school, it's just followed me through. And I mean, it was made so long ago. But the Grinch, the Jim Carrey one, was just as iconic. Fun fact: I think that was the first DVD my family ever bought. I thought that was cool.
Really, that's cool.
I like it a lot. It holds up today. It's
Hmm.
hilarious. Apparently, he did not like getting in that costume. It
I
like
can imagine.
he had to have a terrorist negotiator or
What?
a terrorist like a de-escalation psychologist to hey, it's okay. This isn't torture. Like you get through. Like it was so bad. I read that
Jesus.
somewhere, and so now I feel bad. But I mean, he was perfect for that role. And
Yeah.
thinking about it on paper, it was like Jim Carrey, the Grinch. That don't make no sense. He's hilarious and spastic. The Grinch is like stoic and not silly at all. But it works so well because he's funny mad, or he's got this like I hate Christmas, but we're all laughing because it's like it's just a different side of that character, and I don't think anyone else could have played that.
No, and it's hilarious to think that that movie it came out in 2000 and you're saying that he had to be talked down or have to go through therapy for all that. And I can imagine because and this is crazy is he made that 1 year after he made Man on the Moon.
Mm.
And Man on the Moon, if for anyone unfamiliar, is when it was a biopic about Andy Kaufman from Saturday Night Live and
Hmm.
Taxi from back in the day. And he played that role super well, but I watched there's a
Oh yeah, where it showed the behind the scenes, like the Netflix.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what the name of that documentary was called, but Jim Carrey, when you watch it, you'll see that like that making that movie transformed his entire personality, like his entire outlook on life, on movie making. He embodied that role. That was like the most what's that? What's it
Method
called?
acting.
Method acting. Yeah, like he was Andy Kaufman there, and so to think that he went from that to being the Grinch 1 year later,
Wow.
putting all that stuff on and acting silly, and his mental state was just completely probably messed up doing that. But he brought a lot of joy to us doing it,
Oh
so I
yeah.
appreciate him for it. But yeah, dude, I totally agree. I saw the Jim Carrey Grinch in theaters.
I did too.
Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the most recent one, the animated one with Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah, actually last year I watched it. It has like hip hop elements to it. Like
I actually haven't seen it. I don't know.
oh, I wanted to not like it cuz I was an adult and just being grumpy, but it was good. It was different. I don't remember much else about it.
Hmm.
But I remember there being like music that was pretty good.
Yeah. Was it Pharrell? Was Pharrell involved in it?
That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
like there's like hip hop fused into it, and it's neat. I think I mean your kids would like it. So I imagine like if you watched it with them it would be enjoyable.
Yeah. I think my daughter's seen it. So I mean, going forward, next month I would be willing to watch it. Well, I guess by the time this episode comes out, it'll be this month. But yeah, I'll probably watch it. And because I mean, I'm down to watch it for whatever reason during the holiday season. I love Christmas movies. You know, most of the time I'm down to watch a Christmas movie anytime after Thanksgiving. But it's Christmas music that gets me that I don't want to listen to that much. And
I
I think
love it.
I think it's just because I worked in restaurants.
Exactly.
I mean, and I do
And I
too.
didn't like it then. And
Yeah.
now that I don't listen to it all the time, and it makes people so self-conscious, like, oh, Christmas music, I hate it. And
hmm
it's like, I'm just gonna enjoy it just because you don't like it.
Yeah. Dude, I was very bah humbug about Christmas music working in restaurants, just hearing the same songs over and over and
Oh
again.
yeah.
And segue, speaking of that, bah humbug, how many of the Christmas Carol movies do you think you've seen? There's so many variations. How many of those have you seen?
The Muppet one a lot, with Michael Caine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. It's amazing. The Flintstones version, which was good.
I didn't know there was a Flintstones version.
Yeah. Um, like I said, I would literally stay up all night because I couldn't sleep. So I would just that's all I had to do was watch Christmas movies and eventually you see them all because you're just awake.
Right.
Um, I have seen a couple. There's a couple different animated ones that I've seen, but I
Have you
can't.
seen Have you seen the Mickey Mouse one?
I imagine.
That's
Yeah. With Donald, Daffy Duck is the Scrooge, right?
Yeah, Scrooge McDuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. That's my favorite one. I think partially because it was just the one we watched the most, so it's a big nostalgic, sentimental factor for me. We
Mm-hmm.
watched it with my grandpa a lot. But that was always my favorite. It's very funny. My kids, I showed it to them. It's sort of like the Grinch. It's maybe 30 minutes. I think it's actually even 20 minutes. It's very short,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so good. Love that
So
one,
you have seen the Muppets Scrooge,
dude. It's been so long. I saw
or
it when I was
it's
a kid.
Christmas Carol? I think I don't Muppets Carol, Muppets Christmas.
Yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol, and I did as a kid. I don't remember it. That's like I would say most people's favorite when people talk about it, like millennially, at least as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
That's a common favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think that's my wife's family's tradition. And there's like a Bill Murray movie they like
That
to. I can't.
that Scrooged.
Oh yeah. So I'm on the right track. There's
Mhm.
another version with Bill Murray. Okay,
Yep.
we watched that.
There's one that is weirdly, surprisingly, a Christmas Carol based, but you wouldn't really know it until you go back and really think about the elements because it's not marketed as such. But have you ever seen Ghost of Girlfriends Past?
No, what is it? Is it a movie or?
Yeah, and
Okay.
actually, you know what? I feel like such an idiot saying that out loud. Oh, you wouldn't know it, and then it's called Ghost of Girlfriends Past. They're like, it's like right in the name that it very much is a Scrooge movie, but
It's a snuff film.
either way, it's Matthew McConaughey. It came out 15 years ago, maybe, and I actually
Oh.
saw it in theaters for some reason. I've seen a bunch of dumbass movies in theaters, but it was more of like a sexually charged version where he runs into a girlfriend on Christmas Eve, an ex-girlfriend on Christmas Eve, and she makes him feel bad for the way he treated her. And then I think he sees like some spirits based around his ex-girlfriends.
Mm,
And it ends up turning him around and not being such a playboy.
gotcha.
So it's same.
It's kind of like those Hallmark movies almost. Or
Yeah.
that
Oh
sounds like a
yeah,
plot that
very
you
much
could
so.
easily say that was, you know.
For sure. It just happened to be big budget is all.
Yeah, and all those movies are kind of the same. It's like, I'm a rich dentist and I moved back home and now I'm gonna change the man that I love long ago. I'm gonna change his life and he's a woodsman.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring him back to the city and it's all gonna be great.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, they're good. You know, if people like them, then they have merit. So
Yeah.
I want to see if you know. I can't. Seth Rogen, that's his name. Have you seen the Christmas movie where it's Seth Rogen, this other guy, and this this other guy? I can't think of their names. And it's like their last get together as friends because they're getting older, and it ends up being like this huge Christmas party they're trying to get into, and Miley Cyrus plays. And someone out there is gonna know what I'm talking about. But it's pretty good, and I find myself watching it more and more.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
But it's a good Christmas movie, and it came out like 5 or 6 years ago, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. Like it's just like they're just three dudes kind of got a hall pass ish, like, get to go out and party.
Is
And
there
they're like, let's make it as epic as possible, and it ends up getting all wild, kind of like super bad, but less intense, I guess.
is there a scene in there where Seth Rogen is dancing with a woman at a club, and the two other guys are making fun of the way he dances because he's doing the dice roll too much?
Probably, I think so.
The only reason I say that, I've never seen or heard of this movie, but like an hour ago I was scrolling Instagram and there was a reel where it was Seth Rogen doing the thing. They were making fun of him, and I was thinking, like, what movie even is this? Like, I've seen it was Jonah Hill and Jay Baruchel were the two guys, and I was like, what movie even is this? I don't know what, but based on like the hall pass thing, it made me think maybe that's the movie, and it'd be kind of funny, like out of nowhere, that happens to be the movie.
Yeah, I wish I could remember more of it because I do enjoy it. But he like takes a bunch of drugs and then ends up. I think his wife goes into labor or he's getting married, and he's just like trying to hold it together as much as possible, and it's so funny. But
It's called The Night Before,
that's it. Yeah,
and that's not the movie that I brought up. The movie
gotcha.
I just brought up a really random, stupid movie apparently because it's not relevant.
Oh, good. But that's a really funny one. That's like not typically people's favorite, I suppose, or it's a newer Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
But taking it all the way back, there was a sequel, I think last year for the Christmas Story,
Yeah.
and it was very hallmarky. Nobody, we don't know any actors except for that one guy. It was
Mm.
okay. It wasn't needed, but it was cool. That was fine.
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but I'm aware of it.
Had
And
Hallmark
the
vibes.
dad I assume wasn't in it because well, I don't know if I should say assume because he died, but I didn't know if they maybe recast him or something.
No, it was yeah, he comes back to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes
Or
sense.
something. I don't remember.
Great. That's, you brought up, what you said about The Night Before and maybe this new Christmas movie, the new Christmas Story movie, that I think about sometimes is it is kind of a weird phenomenon when a new movie comes out that's great and it's thematic. So like it does have it could have a place based on what it's based on.
Or like
And,
tradition.
right. And what's so funny to think about is a movie could be so great in the moment and you could say it's, oh my God, it's a classic or it's one of the best ones, and no one will, like, regardless, even if it is actually as good, people won't accept that,
Yeah, at
like,
first.
because because it's new. For some reason, new can't be regarded as iconic. There's just
Mhm.
something that people refuse to accept. And so, like, it's crazy to think. I want to know when that point was with Elf, because Elf is really
Oh.
not that old compared to a lot of the other ones.
And it's like a rocket ship straight to tradition land, like
Yeah.
everyone loves that movie.
Yeah, it's like among everyone's favorites Christmas movies. And I was only 12 at the time when it came out, but I bet that when it first came out, people were like, well, it was good, but
Right.
and now it's in everyone's repertoire,
And everyone wants like an elf too, and Will Ferrell is like staunchly like, no way. There's no possible way I'm gonna taint this any. I bet he'll do it when he's old, but it's so perfect and there's nothing to mess with it. You know, the first movie that I thought of that about was The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. It's got that same vibe where when it first came out, it was like, is this a Christmas movie? But then now it, people watch it all the time. There was like 3 or 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember it when I saw it as a kid, like, oh, that was a good movie. And then not thinking of it as an iconic tradition to watch it all the time. But then I watched it continue to grow. Oh, here's the second one. Here's the third one. Oh, that movie is amazing. And they've kind of people will take that story and make their own thing out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool how that works.
Yeah, it's it is funny to think about because you just talked about Elf just before this, and now the Santa Claus, and it's really funny to think about how opposite they are because the elf is Will Ferrell's character grown up in the elf in the Santa Claus and North Pole.
Like clearly he's not. He doesn't fit in. Yeah.
Right, but just more just that he grew up there and he has to experience the human world, and then he has to adapt to it. And then the opposite being with the Santa Claus,
you're right.
Tim Allen growing up in the human world and having to experience and adapt to the elven Santa Claus world. And so it's and also one thing to compare to, I like to compare how every director or how they all create the North Pole, like how it's different every time. Like some of them make it like technological. They say, this is how things are.
How to keep up with the modern world. Yeah, and that's smart that they did that because kids are going to ask questions.
Right. And because in Elf, he has a, whatever it is, that big motor on the bottom of the sleigh that they have to fix. But it's powered by Christmas cheer.
Mm-hmm.
And then in some other versions, it's not at all. And then there's this newer one called Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell where he even has a portal gun where he's able to just explain away doing everything in one night by jumping through portals. So it's just like every director has their own way of demonstrating.
I love Kurt Russell, and I've seen that on Netflix. I haven't watched the movie, but I watched the little trailer.
It's actually not bad.
Yeah, I guess this year I'll check it out. I love Kurt Russell, so I need to. It's funny, and this has nothing to do with Christmas, but like Kurt Russell, if you have to now, if I want to watch his filmography, I gotta watch Bone Tomahawk, and that movie should not exist.
I don't even know what that is.
Don't look it up, dude.
Okay.
It gives me the heebie-jeebies. There's like a kill scene in there that's like take every scene in Game of Thrones and smush it together, and that's a walk in the park compared to this scene. So It's like, oh, cool. Everybody was talking about the movie Terrifier. Have you heard of these?
I have.
The clown that kills all the people in gruesome ways. Well, none of that holds a candle to Bone Tomahawk scene. That one scene is worse than all of it. Internal Spotless Mind, that movie where he races his mind. I want that for just because of this scene. Merry Christmas, back to Christmas stuff.
Yeah, dude, everyone's like, oh, Elf, oh my gosh, oh, I'm just so Christmas spirit. And you're like, dude, Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, don't watch it. I've shown two people, my brother and Hayden have visited, JR visited. And I showed both. I was like, if you watch this scene, put your headphones in and go upstairs.
God.
It's so bad. Don't watch it. Anyway, another Christmas movie that two, that one that I hadn't seen until I was older, but everyone calls me Kris Kringle around this time.
Mm-hmm.
And with the beard, I've got this red beard now, and I hadn't ever seen. You remember the claymation? The one I saw the most was the dentist one with the snowman that talks, and then the Yeti. So
Rudolph.
Yeah, that's it. With the Cornelius, I love Cornelius.
Dude, Yukon Cornelius is one of my favorite Christmas characters.
He's a G. Like he's just out there minding his own business, looking for gold and stuff, silver and gold.
Dude, I love the way he licks his pickaxe.
Yes, it's perfect.
So funny.
And the Yeti's like claymation stop motion face is just like, and his tongue's like bouncing. It's so funny. Me and my brother used to laugh at that. But they made another one with young Santa, Kris Kringle. I guess it shows how he got his start.
Mm-hmm.
And that puppet looks just like me, and it blows my mind. And I'd never seen that one until. We watch it now every year, but I'm like, that's me. Like, I get why everybody says, Kris Kringle and you're Santa Claus. And now I make that my profile picture on Christmas. But it made me, I have a running joke. Like, the reason I'm so behind in life is because I can't get into my passion until I'm old. I want to be a mall Santa. So like I really can't do anything until way later. and now I'm like now that I look like that Kris Kringle guy, I'm like, well, maybe I can go ahead and get started soon.
Yeah, you're on your way, pal.
Did you like those movies?
Rudolph, yes. I've only seen the Santa Claus is Coming to Town maybe
That's what it's
twice,
called, yeah.
and I don't really remember a ton about it. I honestly was even kind of confusing it with the Miser Brothers Christmas, which is it's a very similar. It's the same. I think it's the same company. It's the same claymation stop motion style, but it's about like Jack Frost and the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I honestly kind of got confused with that for a minute, but no, dude, Rudolph though was a classic, and
So good. The dentist, he's just like, hey guys, this isn't me.
yeah, he doesn't want to be a toy guy. He wants,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, it's so great, but man, it's so wild. And I know we knew it from the song, but dude, they are so fucking rude to him.
Oh, and Rudolph too.
Well, no, that's what I meant. Rude to Rudolph.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, I should have. Yeah,
Yeah,
we were talking about this.
he could have been like, hey y'all, eat my ass, watch this, and then he's at the front of the sleigh, you know.
Yeah,
He tried so hard to fit in, and it's like, I hope self-conscious people watch this and they're like, am I the bad guy? Am I that person? Because
dude,
they need to.
What pisses me off is so Rudolph, and I know it's the point, but it's Rudolph. All he does is has a red nose, which awesome. That'd be cool. I'd want to be his friend. That's cool. But also, he was a nice guy. But either way, he flies first before any of the other reindeer in his class, and he's a super nice guy. And his dad's one of Santa's reindeer. And then as soon as they see his nose, they're like, get the hell out of here. and they do that. But dude, what pisses me off is finally when Santa needs, he needs to get through the fog. He's like, oh, we love you, Rudolph. Dude, you're the best. I love you so much, man. Can you do this? Can you do this for me?
Yep.
It's so manipulative, man.
So
I hate
realistic,
that.
yeah.
It is, dude. And it makes me so mad, dude.
There's a scene in Wicked. I went and saw Wicked with my wife, and the Green Witch. They're
Elphaba?
Yes. I don't know the names or anything in the songs. Okay. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
But she walks into this dance, and they all just stop, this group of people, and she starts dancing and goes in the middle, and they're all just snickering. And then 5 minutes later, they're doing the same damn dance. Mm-hmm. It's like,
sure
take a page out of this, people.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you look like, stealing people's ideas.
You know what movie I watched yesterday for the first time as a child, or since I was a child, is Dumbo. Dude, I had forgotten how rude the people in Dumbo were.
I loved it as a kid, but I cannot tell you a single thing.
Dude, I didn't remember much about it either, but the stork drops off Dumbo at his mom, and the mom's just so happy to have a little baby there, and it's awesome. And then the other mama elephants are nearby, and they finally see Dumbo's ear. And the baby's name originally was Jumbo Jr., because the mom's name was Jumbo, I think. And these 4 other lady gossip elephants look down and see the ears, say, more like Dumbo. I'm like, oh my God, that is a day-old baby that you're talking shit about.
Yeah.
And it just persists. Like the whole movie are like, not even just everybody, but these are just these women, these older women, and there's these characters. There's maybe, I think it's Timothy J. Mouse is like the only character that doesn't talk trash to him. And it's so hard to watch because they also start whipping his mom, and they're like putting her in solitary confinement. Like, what's this little thing got to go through, man?
Yeah.
I know we're talking about Christmas movies, but damn.
Yeah, leave people alone. That's my message for this episode. Leave people alone unless they're trying to hurt you. Then hurt them back.
Truly. Dude,
anyway, Christmas movies.
Speaking of leave people alone, who you need to leave alone?
Go ahead.
Kevin McAllister.
Oh!
Leave his ass alone. This is my house, and I've got to defend it.
He's the ultimate, like, all the odds are against him, and he's like, shit, watch this. How much time we got?
He's got the plan. He's got the whole thing. I think
that was my first favorite Christmas movie, man. Home Alone 2. The first one is good, but the second one is some of my favorite. As I can remember as a kid, just watching it over and over and over. And I had it on VHS, and I would just rewind. And then, like, there's specific, like, I have this whole thing memorized, man. There's scenes like when the bad guy, Harry, shocks himself to where you see that skeleton. Yeah. I can remember waking myself up out of sleep laughing about that, like seeing it in my mind and just laughing awake. That so movie funny. Is perfect, and it's a great. Both of those movies are great Christmassy. Like the music, Christopher Columbus is an amazing director anyway, but the music, the setting, like the walk in the park, like Central Park at night's real scary, but then like you meet this warm, crazy lady, and she's not crazy, but you get what I mean, bird lady,
Yeah,
and
Piers Morgan.
yeah, exactly, that guy. And I I love that because I was a kid that had ADHD, so it was just like, wow, an ADHD annoying kid no one likes is gonna win one. Like he wins.
Yeah.
And he gets to spend his dad's money and like he's safe and he's got this hotel. He's messing with Rob Schneider, who's gone off the deep end, so like he deserved that. And then like the use of like the recording of the TV, like like who's
Uh-huh.
thinking of that? Like how did
Yeah.
he come up with all that stuff?
Kevin's a smart kid.
Yeah. And then the Duncan's toy chest.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that's a real place, so that was cool.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it. I mean, it might not be called that, but I like the where they filmed that is an actual toy store in New York, and yeah, those both of those movies are special. And what's the lady's name that is his mom? She's in
Dude,
Beetlejuice as well.
I was going to say that. Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara.
Love her.
Staple of 90s, 80s movies.
Dude, she's honestly, over time, it says I always enjoyed her as a child, but then I saw Schitt's Creek.
Oh, yeah.
And dude, I think she's my favorite actress. She is so funny.
Her range is great.
She's so great, dude.
Yeah.
I love her.
And I'm so happy that Christopher Lloyd is that his name? No, that's Back to the Future guy.
Yeah.
Chris Elliott. That guy was like around everywhere in the 90s, and then he just poof disappeared. And then he shows up one day on this show, and I'm like, that's him. He's so funny. And he's still just as funny.
Chris, for some reason, I thought we were back on Home Alone. I was like, is Chris Elliott in Home Alone? But no, I know what you're going to do now. Yeah, he is hilarious in Schitt's Creek. I do like Chris Elliott a lot.
Speaking of Home Alone, he orders 15 pizzas for 15 people. No. What was it?
I think it's 10 pizzas for 15 people.
And then the amount of money or something, somebody said, well, you should have ordered one more pizza so everybody gets 2 slices, and they like broke it down, and it was so funny to me.
Yeah.
But the other thing is when Kevin goes to the store to get groceries, I don't know if it's 1 or 2.
That's the first one.
And he spends like $10 or something, and they did the math, and now that was like $50 in groceries. And it's like, that's so sad.
I love how Kevin addresses. So what's funny is there's actually 2 scenes where he goes to the grocery store, because there's the one scene where he goes to buy like all the food, and he's like really sassy, and they're like, where's your mom? She's in the car, or like just keeps snapping back. But then there's the other scene in the same movie where he goes to buy a toothbrush, and I don't know what he gets freaked out because the shovel guy appears behind him.
Oh, that's the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. And he starts like stepping back to like run away from him, not realizing he's stealing a toothbrush. Dude, it always pisses me off when the shop kid yells at the police officer, thief. And the cop chases the 8-year-old over a toothbrush. Yeah.
And
like,
that's
what are we doing?
Probably be worse now, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that dynamic of like a kid meeting a stranger. He's scary, but then he meets him in that church, and he's like, I guess my wife died, or somebody passed, or his kid maybe died or something, and like it explains that, and it's like Christmas, man, like that. It's just that warm-hearted feeling. They really nailed all that.
Yeah. Well, what it was is he lost contact with his son over a fight.
That's
and
right.
And the reason he was at the church was to watch his granddaughter sing, even though he couldn't like talk to her. And it was super sad, and it was cool to where they were trading advice, and really that's what pushed Kevin to face his fear.
Yeah, and say sorry to his mom and stuff like that. Well, and also in the second one, the bird lady kind of gave him that feeling too. Like, okay, I get it. Christmas is family. It's not a location.
Right.
But I feel him like that uncle guy, man, he grinds me so bad. Get out of here, you filthy pervert. I'm going to slap you silly. Like, that guy sucks so much. And then, like, oh yeah, let's go to Florida. And it's like, yeah, that is totally an uncle idea to go
Mm-hmm.
to Florida on Christmas. So I totally feel him. Maybe not New York though, because I would have been broken. Like, well, he had a credit card in the '90s, so he was probably he's fine.
Right.
He picks the most expensive hotel possible.
Just because he sees it in a commercial.
Yeah, and then like the somebody's talking to him on the plane in a different language, and he just puts those headphones on.
It's so funny.
It's so
But
good.
dude, I know it's movie stuff, and I shouldn't think too hard into it. But how in the world does he know? Like, because he calls to make that reservation in the hotel lobby, but he
Uses
pre
the
he
voice.
pre-records,
You
changes the
got
setting.
it.
Yeah, but how do you know the exact order of the questions that woman is going to ask you?
That's
Like,
true. And
what the fuck?
maybe he had him out of order because he does rewind and fast forward pretty fast. But
Yeah.
still, how do you're 8 years old. You've never booked a hotel. This isn't. You can't just do it online. That's true. You got to suspend your belief, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, like some of the traps he sets up. That like if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a remodeled home, that's dangerous. There's no floors.
Yeah, there was no floor in that house.
Yeah, like I guess those people didn't live there, so that's why you don't really see any adults. And then how did he know where that was? I know it's referenced that it's his sister's house. It's the dad's sister's house,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't tell you what address. I mean, New York is insanely expansive, and most of their roads are like 54th Street, 33rd Street, and it's like it's
Well, I
I
think
couldn't get there, and now.
I do think there was. I don't remember exactly how, but I want to say that he had like his dad's black book or
Oh, that's
something.
right.
It was something
You're
like that.
exactly right. And but still, like even I would have used like MapQuest pre phones, and he didn't even have that. He had like a phone book. I guess if people are chasing you, you kind of you figure it out real fast.
Yeah. Well, dude, I went to Washington D.C. with my wife once, and I had an iPhone. This was just before Siri came out, but I had maps on my phone. It just
Hmm.
was before the live updates, and it told me go west to get to the White House on the road we were on, because we were on Pennsylvania Avenue. I was like, okay, and we start walking. We get about a quarter mile, and I'm like, ah, darn, went the wrong way. I even had like I still like how did this 8-year-old? I mean, I have a bad sense of direction, so we can blame it on that. But and Kevin was a smart kid, so I don't
Oh
know.
yeah. Well, now I want to know why he left the hotel. I guess they found him
Well, he got
and he
kicked out
ran. Oh,
because
that's right.
they approached him because the credit card they shut it off and it got registered as
His
stolen.
dad. Yeah, I remember now because they're talking to the police. Yeah.
Yeah. But have you ever seen Home Alone 3?
Yeah, I had it. So when I went to my grandparents lived in a camper during the summer at a lake campground, and they didn't have like TV really. It was like 3 channel cable, satellite or not satellite, but
Mm-hmm.
rabbit ears.
Yeah.
So we would just buy a bunch of movies, and that was on like a 3 pack. So I watched it. It's not the same, but at the same time, it had the same feel. Was it a Christmas movie or was it just normal?
It was. Oh, that's a good question. I think.
That was the first movie I called the twist. I was like, as a kid, I was like, I bet those people are too nice. They're gonna be the bad guys, and it works. I was like, yes.
I I don't know because I don't know if it's a Christmas movie per se. I do remember that it was during a cold type period. It was
Okay.
like in December, but the reason he was home alone is because he had chicken pox.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if it was Christmas related or not, but I
I
remember he was given like that toy car by his neighbor for
They had the
show
camera on it.
snubbling, and it had a like a microchip for those Russian people. I think they were like Russian.
Oh, it's deeper. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's like military stuff, and he didn't realize it, but he was Kevin smart, and he was messing with them on a daily basis. But he did, yeah, he did put the camera on it, yeah.
Okay. I vaguely remember it, but I remember it being, it's not Macaulay Culkin, but it's fine. I think it's the
Yeah.
guy or the kid from Liar Liar, I think.
Maybe they look alike. The
I
only
can't
movie I
remember.
remember him from was Max Keeble's Big Move.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But I don't know. That could be the same kid from. I honestly don't remember from Liar Liar. But I do remember that his sister Scarlett Johansson,
Hmm.
just really young. She was like 12.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
so
need
that
to go
was
back
funny.
and check that out.
Whoa, calm down.
Me?
I'm just kidding.
Ah!
I'm just kidding.
Christmas time. I'm trying to think of some other movies real quick.
I typed out as many as I could think of, and we've gone through all of them. I think the only one we haven't talked about that's nostalgic is, in some ways, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah,
And that's,
is it a Christmas movie? I would
mean,
say
it's
yes, but
whichever way you want
also
to take
it's
it.
a Halloween movie.
Yeah, I mean, he does go out on Christmas and do the Christmas stuff, and
Yeah, he
Santa.
does.
There's Christmas towns. Oh yeah, I mean enough. And do you know who voices frickin' Sally?
No.
Catherine O'Hara.
What?
Yeah,
I
she's the
gotta be
best.
honest. I haven't seen it in a long time.
We
I will say like the fandom is kind of intense, or at least it was for a little bit. It was just like, man,
Oh yeah,
theater kids just got a hold of this and ran.
dude, theater kids, emo kids. It got like those beanies with the Jack Skellington.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No offense, so we're not here to make you feel like Dumbo,
Right.
but I'm just thinking like, man, there for a while it was really intense.
It really was, and it was, and I mean, I still see it every now and again, and I can appreciate because it is a really good movie.
Yeah,
I
is that stop motion or was it animation?
It's stop motion,
Yeah,
and
wow.
I don't like it myself personally, and I don't really, honestly, for the most part, I don't like stop motion movies. I appreciate the effort behind them, but there's something off about it to me that I just don't like. The only stop motion movie I like is Chicken Run.
That's fair. I like making stop motion. I don't have anything like examples,
Mm-hmm.
but I appreciate it so much because it takes forever just to make, like on Parks and Recs where he's like depressed and he's like, I compared it to Avatar. Like it's really like that. Like you're like, oh man, this is gonna be good, and then it's only like a second worth of film.
Yeah.
It's like God.
That took me 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember the song. It's like REM or something.
Yeah, no, I know it plays for 2 seconds. It's very funny.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate stop motion, and
Mm-hmm.
it when it's used, I usually like it. I can't think of any good movies right off the top of my head. And I'll leave you with this. Is Snow Dogs a Christmas movie? Cuba Gooding Jr.
I don't think I've ever seen Snow Dogs.
That's okay. When that movie came out, there was a bunch of scary movies that came out, so we would buy tickets to Snow Dogs and then sneak into the other movie. Don't do that because you'll get, cops in Oak Ridge or whatever. They get so mad. But that's what I remember. And I was just thinking maybe Snow Dogs is a Christmas movie. But yeah, well, wrapping up here, Christmas movies. There's a plenty. Everybody seems to have their own little tradition. But it all ties back to the mega Christmas movie that's shown 24 hours a day. We've all seen it, and we've all got our favorites. We've all got our unconventional movies like Die Hard that are Christmas movies, and we got to break those down. So thanks again for listening. Maybe you're a returning listener, and you are the apple of our eye. But even more important, maybe this is your first episode and we want to give you the biggest warm hug and welcome you into our Christmas dinner, our tradition. So thanks again for listening to I Remember That podcast. Please follow us on whatever you're listening to this on. Find us on Facebook, and we're always posting polls. Looks like we've got some stickers coming out soon, so go vote on that if you see that. And as always, I hope you remember something, and we hope you have a great Christmas. We're going to be doing these all through December, so enjoy and stick around. Have a great night, day, morning.